Well, speaking of Ted Cruz, he may have won Wisconsin, but is it enough to overcome his delegate deficit? Our political panel has returned to weigh in. Fox News contributor and radio talk show host Tammy Bruce and Republican strategist and former communications aide for McCain-Palin presidential campaign Boris Epshteyn. Thank you both for returning.
Okay, good morning.
Great to be here.
Yes, good morning again. So we just heard Mike Tobin talking about the delegates who are not bound heading into a potential contested convention. There are 150 of those. So who do we think those would benefit if it shakes out as it appears to be?
Well, look, one of the problems is that these are individuals who generally are loyal to the party. These are people who are involved at the local level. They're known by party officials. There's, local elections for them, and they're generally, loyal to the party. So that is, if there's a second ballot, that's where they're going to tend to go. If someone's going to try to move them, they're going to be more open to where they think the party wants to go or if they've been asked to go there. But Ted Cruz has got a ground game that's moving through the country, talking to people who are unbound, going to individuals who are already bound but might become free agents in the second round. That's part of the less glamorous, more anonymous kind of work. When you have a team that's going there, you've got the candidate that's going to talk to those candidates. This is the kind of thing that makes a difference in a contested convention, which is part of the ground game.
But then there are voters at home, people seeing all of this maneuvering and negotiation happening, and that's exactly what they're upset about.
And that's exactly why Donald Trump is leading by a lot in the delegate count, because he's won a lot of states and gotten really high percentages in a lot of states like Arizona, and he will again in New York, Delaware, Maryland, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and California.
You think he's going to win all those states?
I do think he's going to win all those states. And as far as the 150 delegates goes, if Trump goes in the convention, I think he'll get to 1237. If he somehow does not, he's short by 50. There's about 45 days between the last primary vote and the convention.
June 7th and July 18th.
July 18th. Okay. So a long time for the Trump campaign to lobby these 150 to come over and put them over the top if, for some reason, the campaign is short. Cruz is going to go in short much more than 150. So even if all of them went to Cruz, he still doesn't get over 1237. The math overwhelmingly favors Donald Trump.
Well, and also if the establishment thinks that they're going to be telling hundreds, if not over 1,000 delegates between Cruz and Trump that they're going to be going for a Paul Ryan or a John Kasich, that of course is also absurd. So there's going to have to be, if the establishment thinks they're going to be pulling the strings, both of those men are going to be going into the convention with enough delegates. But I think it's important for the viewers and for voters to recognize, and I think it's good for them to see this inside, the workings inside, and to decide if you're a Republican whether you like it or not. Because
most Republicans don't like it.
And you mentioned, exactly. You mentioned John Kasich. So he has 143 delegates right now.
Oh, he wants to be vice president. That's where he's not going to become the nominee, but he wants to be the vice president.
Rubio has more delegates than Kasich does. And Kasich wants to be vice president, probably for somebody like a Donald Trump who's going to be the nominee.
For who? For either Cruz or Trump?
Well, I think so. I think what the establishment wants is, because they don't like either Cruz or Trump, is they want that individual in there. And that was one of President Reagan's mistakes. George H.W. Bush was his fourth choice. He wanted Jack Kemp for his running mate. But that was to appease the establishment. And that was clearly, I think, a dynamic mistake.
He won 2 elections.
Well, it's a mistake because of the nature of the agenda and then the unraveling of the Reagan agenda after the fact.
But Reagan absolutely crushed an 80 and crushed an 84.
My point is a strategy when it comes to an establishment versus an outsider. I think that it would be an unbeatable ticket to have it be Trump-Cruz, Cruz-Trump, because then you're going to be able to move a conservative agenda through the establishment.
There'd be a whole lot of apologizing from both sides that would have to happen for that. I want to talk about one other thing, though. There are some models that apparently have accurately been able to predict the presidential elections, and according to these 2 models for decades, they've been correct. They say that a Republican will win the White House when it comes time for the general election. Now, part of their findings are based on President Obama's favorability ratings, which have been very low, but they are rising now.
Well, if we look at where the country is, it's unquestionably tied to the Obama agenda domestically, but also on foreign policy. And the president is very important on foreign policy. And that's where Republicans are much stronger. So it's not surprising at all. But we as Republicans cannot overestimate these polls and these models. We still need to unite as a party, unite behind the leader now, Donald Trump, and go in and focus on Hillary Clinton, who's a very, very weak candidate.
Why this would be different is that Obama's poll numbers are effectively personal. It's less of a statement about the condition of the country. 3/4 of Americans don't like the direction of the country. That's the number that should be considered, and why the GOP nominee will be elected president in November.
All right. We will see both of you joining us again this morning. Really appreciate it. Tammy Forrest, thank you.